Hi, and I'm talking to you from Berthon, and it's time for our January 2026 Yacht Insights, and I'm joined by Tim Carbury, who's Head of Sales at Berthon Spain. Very excited. He joined us on the 1st of January, and he's got masses of super yacht experience, and he's going to be driving Berthon Spain forward. So, Tim, can you tell everybody a little bit about where you've come from, what you've done, the sort of yachts you specialise in?
Yes, good morning, Sue. I've been involved in the industry, I guess, on and off since I was about 18. Growing up sailing in the south coast, mainly out of Gosport, Hamel and Lymington.
Out of Lymington?
Yeah, I used to sail with I think quite a well-known local guy called Bob Fisher.
Oh my goodness, right, okay.
I think I sailed on both his boats, Zeal and Zing. I think they're actually both moored in Berthon Marina.
Right.
So that takes me back to, I guess, when I was 16, 17.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I got into offshore racing and then into yacht deliveries locally. Earned a little bit of money around that. Got involved with, I guess, professional skippers. Mm-hmm. And they gave me the nod that the real world, the real yachting world, actually isn't in the Solent, it's in the Mediterranean. So
off you popped. So you've never actually had a proper job at all? You're just like me?
Well, I worked in the family business for 10 years. Well,
Right.
I worked in the family business basically from 10 years old. I was immersed in the family business. Mm-hmm. There was no escaping it. So I had a day job once I left university, but I was always sailing alongside it.
Right, okay. And then what happened when you dived off to the Med, and then what happened?
Well, I went down to the Med briefly, and then I got introduced to yacht management. So I got approached to go and work and live in the Isle of Man for 2 years, working for a boutique yacht and aviation management company in Douglas.
Was that fun?
It was interesting.
Yeah.
They were definitely fun times. It's an interesting place to live, particularly in the winter.
Yeah, I was talking to one of the management guys yesterday, and she was saying that because of the weather, there was no boat, and that meant that Marks and Spencer didn't have anything to eat in it.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, that's quite a regular thing, because the fogs knock out the airport, and obviously, the storms knock out the ferries. So, yeah, it can be a bit like a giant Alcatraz in winter, but. No, we had a lot of fun over there, and I learnt a lot about the industry and the yacht management side of the industry and day-to-day problems that captains face with owners and problems that owners face with captains and crew. And 9 times out of 10, it boils down to money and expense.
Yeah, ever so.
So I finished my time there, and then I got into yachting properly. Went down to Juan-les-Pins, where I lived for a few years. Working on sailboats out of the south of France, but very quickly I realised there weren't actually that many sailboats in the south of France. So I got a nudge from a captain friend of mine who said you need to get to Palma. So it was move again, and I've been in Palma now for 10 years.
Right, okay. And then when you got to Palma, what happened?
I enjoyed my time yachting in Palma. I ended up running a 30-metre sailing catamaran.
Oh, right.
But my wife moved down. She was actually pregnant fairly soon after she arrived, and
Right.
the pressure came on to come ashore. So I got approached by Fraser in 2017, and I joined them as a broker. 2017, I had 6 very happy years and very educational years with Fraser.
It was a great firm, isn't it? Sort of now part of Marine Max.
Yeah, it's a great firm, and it was a great way to learn, because I think the way they operate is primarily as independent brokers.
That's interesting.
So you had to learn quickly, and it wasn't necessarily that corporate. It was quite tough. I felt a bit like I was in the dog pound with the big dogs.
Right.
So yeah, I had to sharpen my teeth and sort of match them, but it was a great way to learn the industry.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you left and you went to Moravia.
Correct. Yeah, I then left 2023 to join Moravia with a view to developing the business for them down here on the island. Also working alongside Hill Robinson and trying to further their yacht management portfolio.
Right, okay. And so now you've joined the team where there are no dogs, there's no pound, and hopefully we're all going to work together and build this little business of ours and take the next step with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, the feeling I get from Berthon, I mean, it is, I guess, essentially a family business, but it's, just from the evening or few days I had in Düsseldorf and a couple of times I've been to the office in Lymington, there's a lovely feeling within the company. And I think there is clear separation between everyone's roles. So I think in a lot of brokerage houses, a lot of crossover, and you sort of go into the office, put your gun on the desk every morning, and get your elbows out and sort of keep everyone away from your screen. But it's totally different, and there is definitely a team feeling and atmosphere, which is, something I actually love.
Yeah, and of course we've talked about this ad nauseum, but just for everybody else, I mean, the task in Palma, Berthon Spain, or Berthon International Spain, is already an established business, and we've done well with it. And we've got Henk Schabrander and the amazing Simon Turner and Natalie working with you. But our plan is to kind of mix it up a bit and get into bigger boats in Palma.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the market obviously dictates, and generally the volume on this island and in the mainland really is 20 to 35, 40 meters maybe. So it's an obvious approach, I think, for us to really attack quite aggressively that market segment. There's absolutely no reason why Berthon shouldn't be the premier brokerage house within that market segment, because people talk about the big five, but the big five are going after, the big fish, which they're welcome to. It's great. They're fabulous at it. So I think to try and take them on, and that is just nonsensical. But we have our target market, and there's absolutely no reason why we shouldn't be the strongest company within that segment.
Yeah, and what I believe is because we work as a team, we can do a really good job for yacht owners and for buyers. And because we specialise and because we're passionate about the business, I'm very excited about the possibilities that we have in the Mediterranean. And of course, Palma is the heart of the Mediterranean. That's why we made our home there and also have the service business. So yesterday we had one of our international meetings, and you were in Düsseldorf. We had guys from the USA, guys from Sweden, and of course a team from the UK. We represent Solaris Sales, Solaris Power. We were there with Moody, and it's a long show, but we had a Berthon dinner. And in the meantime, other members of the team have obviously been back in the office selling boats and monitoring the market. So as ever, we had a few takeaways. So what I think we saw was that Boot Düsseldorf, it's a phenomenon. It's always an incredible event. It was more active on power than sail, I think. But what we really noticed was there were fewer Americans, fewer Brits, fewer international visitors. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. It feels very much like a sort of a localized boat show as opposed to a real international boat show. If we have Palma or Cannes or Monaco, then it really genuinely feels international. But the feeling I got very much was it was generally people from the North Rhine-Westphalia area into Holland, Belgium, but I don't feel like it's a show that people necessarily want or feel that they should travel huge distances for. I'm not really sure why, because the offering is there, and I think if you are looking for a powerboat or a sailboat between 40 and 90 feet, then it's a great place to view a boat. It's warm and dry, but it definitely feels like a local show. Yeah,
I mean, I'm getting the feeling that, there are local events that people are attending. I think the Palma show is becoming more important. Cannes, Genoa, the American shows. I think the Americans are going to their home market shows. I think that because of the new regime with tariffs and stuff. We'll talk about that later. I think that's changed the way that Americans are viewing stuff as well. It's all very interesting. And so our service refit and repair operation, Berthon Spain service, they're busy. Lots of little jobs to do. Many clients. Interesting that it continues to be about mend rather than make look pretty or improve. And interesting that there's resistance on cost, even with the much bigger mega yachts and super yachts.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's known for a while now that Palma can offer you everything in terms of if you have a sailing boat in for a 20-year survey or a motorboat, we have the riggers here, the hydraulic specialists, the carpenters. We have everything here on the island, which is a huge draw, but it has got expensive. The island is definitely being attacked by the likes of Pendennis or EMV in Badalona. On the mainland, they're using our costs to their benefit. So it is getting competitive, and I think owners are starting to hear and understand that, you know, Palma might have it all, but, you know, these guys may have the money, but they don't necessarily, or certainly don't want to just waste it.
That's true, and I think also it's changed slightly in that a lot of the captains and crews, it's rotation, so the location for the refit isn't so critical.
No.
And we laugh about our Berthon vans, all 11 of them, but they're mostly on the mainland these days.
Yeah, I mean, I have a client who's doing his 20-year survey as we speak, and he's taken the boat to Denia. Boat's normally based in Villanova, but he's price sensitive, and he knows that he can get the work done in Denia, that he can get done in Palma or Villanova or Badalona, and he's chosen to do it down there. So I do think that the local authorities here on the island need to get a little bit realistic, because I think it's a little bit of a monopoly. I think it's a bit of a sort of a mafia type situation where they're all in a little group. They all sort of get together and say, right, this is going to be the cost of moorings, for example. This is what we're going to charge in the yards. And I think people are starting to get a little tired of that. So
yeah, I agree. I remember the head of Solaris saying something that made me smile at the time. It's absolutely right. He was talking to somebody about the cost of, I don't know, something that was happening in a regatta, and he said, our clients are rich, they're not stupid.
Yeah.
And it's that, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know, I think anyone that's made money has made money because they're intelligent people, and they look after the pennies as well as the pounds. And this is an industry that, in reality, you know, no one needs a boat, so they have to enjoy it. They accept it's going to be an expensive hobby or lifestyle, but they want to still keep it lean and in the way they do their general day-to-day business.
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely right. And the next thing, of course, is the amazing office in Sweden, in Henan, which you have to go to because it's the most atmospheric place. They're really busy. Lots of course, the listing profile is high quality, but smaller than you'd see in Palma, so between 40 and 60 feet. They're busy listing boats, and interestingly, the snow is not so much just on the ground, but kind of up to their kneecaps. They're actually selling boats at this time of year, which is not the normal cycle. And the next one that we picked up on is American buyers, and the brokerage market is active. I think Simon in your office is dealing with a few Americans, and in fact we're dealing with one with him jointly here in the UK office. And they're buying boats in the Mediterranean, in Northern Europe, but not for America. They're either going to stay here, or they're going to do a world cruise, or they're going to go to the Pacific, or go to the ice or whatever. And I think that's a shift that we're going to see more of. And in the bigger boat market or the super mega yacht market, a lot of stuff in build for Americans. None of that's going to America, I think.
No. I mean, we've seen it here on the island as well. I mean, when I arrived here, there weren't any direct flights to the US. Everyone had to come in through Barcelona or Madrid or London or a central hub in Europe. now this summer, I think there are going to be direct flights to 7 US cities.
Really?
Direct from US.
That is so interesting.
Straight into Palma. And we're feeling the US investment and wealth on the island here as we speak. And for them, it's a breath of fresh air. Okay, it's 8 or 9 hours in a plane, but they arrive to a completely different culture. They love the fact it's an island. They love the fact that they can sort of circumnavigate the island, the difference between the east coast, the west coast, and yeah, they're great. They're great for the island. They're great for our industry.
Yeah. Well, well done them, and let's hope they keep coming. And then the next point, which we shouldn't really have a dig, but some of those platforms that we place our yachts on do seem to think that they ought to be charging more than they were last year, which in a hard market is fairly hard to fathom, but it is what it is. And then we come to the American domestic market, which of course has changed fundamentally, because it's a bit like the UK market and Brexit. Those boats which are there that don't have to pay tariff are there. Those boats which would come in to pay tariff, they're not doing that. The market is under pressure of the product that is there. The thing that we're seeing is that some brokers in America seem to think, when they're buyers brokers, that 20% off ask is the norm. We don't see that in Europe. No?
Absolutely.
And you know, we've always been fans of pricing fairly close to where we expect to be, on the basis it's really good to give the buyer a clue.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone, I think...
You know, being honest about the price.
Absolutely. I mean, I think in my time as a broker, I've only ever sold one boat for asking price. And we knew that the asking price we were asking was extremely fair and reasonable. We were confident the boat was in excellent condition and would survey well, so we wouldn't get another hit post-survey report. But yeah, I think generally everyone knows and expects that, you know, these are asking prices. You know, it's not like going into a supermarket and seeing a price and that's the price. So, but yeah, I think 20% is quite bullish. I think most people, obviously it depends on the asking price and how reasonable it is. I think a lot of people will try and come in at quite sort of keen to buy at a low price, but I think generally 20% would be too much against the asking if it's reasonable.
Yeah, and I think it's also the broker's job to have a look at, you know, the real value, and to say to their client, well, do you know what, the boat is well priced.
Yeah.
Or it's 20% off because the owner's off on the price. But if it's a good price, then I think you need to be much closer.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think there's definitely a temptation to get bullied by an owner or a seller in order to get a listing. So if a boat, you know, we might feel that the boat's worth 6 million, but if we've got the seller saying to us, well, I want to list it at 8, or I'm going to go down to the road to someone else, I think it's tempting to say, well, okay, yeah, well, come on, let's list it at 8. But I think if you do that, that's okay. But I think you have to be very, very clear that in 3 months' time, if we've had very little interest, no viewings, no offers, then as long as the location is correct, the boat's available, it has to be down to price. So I think once you get into that and then you get down to a reasonable and fair price, then yeah, I think 10% is... And
you're right. You know, when you're going for a listing, it is tempting to agree with the owner.
Yeah.
And once you agree to a price that's too high, you're not going to sell the boat unless you're incredibly lucky. The poor owner is going to have masses and masses of carrying costs because the boat will sit there.
Yeah.
And another broker will probably pick it up at the correct price, you know, 12 months down the line.
Yeah, we've all done it. We've all sort of picked a listing up just at the right price. At the price, you can see historically that she's had 4 price reductions from 3 different brokerage houses because they're getting sacked because no inquiries, no viewings, because the boat's overpriced. Then the next one takes it at 10%, 15% less, and yeah, it is tempting. I mean, there are a few boats on the market now that we all see.
But you're right. Every so often, it's like musical chairs, isn't it? And there's that one chair left, and you sit on it, and you know. But you think actually, by doing that, you know, by doing that, the yachting industry has probably cost the owner $750,000.
Absolutely.
In carrying costs.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they've got the running cost ongoing of a boat they don't want to own, we've also got a cost of marketing and our time. You know, if we have a listing that is grossly overpriced and we're pretty sure isn't going to sell at that, you know, you're a little reluctant to throw 10,000-15,000 euros into a marketing campaign, or boat shows, or, you know, a big print media campaign if you think that in 12 months the CA agreement's going to get torn up. So
I think that's absolutely right.
You have to be reasonable and sensible to the company, but also the seller.
Yeah, and I think you have to be honest. Yeah, and then we're saying recent well-known brands are selling well, but they've got to be in good condition and survey well. We are seeing surveys where we're kind of not getting tripped up, but it's quite hard work because buyers in this market, they don't want to hear about problems.
No,
they just don't want to. They don't want to do a deck. You know, they don't want to do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's our job as a good, fair and honest broker. You know, sometimes you do get a buyer that just falls in love with the boat. And you say, yeah, but sir, it needs a new deck, it needs new sails, the rig's got to be pulled next year. You're looking at €1 million there. And say, yeah, don't worry about it. That's next year. I'll worry about the next year. But yeah, I think we have a duty of care to our clients to make sure that they are informed about what they're buying.
Yes, they have to be very, very clear. And also that to do this work, if there's some of it now, and by the way, sir, that's going to take 20 weeks.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing, isn't it? Well, I'll do it, you know, you can't do some of the stuff next year. And actually, you've got a very tight window. And so you're right, honesty is the best policy. So that's what we thought. And so now for Berthon Spain, you and the guys are busy with listings drive.
Yeah, we are.
We're going to crank up some of the marketing.
Yeah.
Lots to do.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, it's a funny month here because Christmas seems never ending with Three Kings.
Of course, yeah.
And then we sort of go into Düsseldorf. But yeah, I mean, we're busy already this year. We've got good listings coming on. We've got really good activity about potential listings. I think we're going to really sort of push hard to improve the presence of Berthon International in Spain. We're going to be hosting events which are targeted to captains and industry individuals, potential trusted partners, where we can refer business each way. So yeah, we've got lots to do.
And of course the Palma show where we've got yachts in the super yacht show, and we've also got Solaris there.
Yeah, that's right.
Solaris sale.
I had an inquiry just last night for a catamaran they want to sell. Could we potentially get it into the boat show? It's almost a victim of its own success, Palma. It's perfectly placed at the time of the year. If someone wants to buy a boat at the Palma boat show, they can be yachting within weeks, and that's still the end of May. It's very reasonably priced to have a boat in situ at the show compared to Cannes or Monaco. So it's very busy, it's very competitive, but yeah, we're going to have a good presence there, I hope.
And it's a lot sunnier there than it is here. Thanks very much, Tim.
It's true, sorry.